The current spoiler warning level is Crimson.
Friends and folks, for this episode you're looking at a spoiler warning level of Crimson. We're talking about some machines from Mobile Suit Gundam Age, and we go fairly deep into the series, so even for listeners of the Great Gundam Project who are currently listening to Age, this is past where you are, this is spoilers. Oh, also, I wanted to address this because I don't think I've said it anywhere. I started putting the video version of this show on YouTube, and I used to do fun stuff with the music where I would do like a fun ending song based on whatever we covered. I can't do that on YouTube. I'm going to get a copyright strike, so that's why the music is all generic now. We open with some Gundam Breaker 3 music and we close with Gundam Breaker 4 music. Anyway, please enjoy the episode. Hello friends and folks, and welcome back to another episode of Mechanista and G. I don't know what I'm doing for dinner. I'm sick stepmom.
I'm Dylan. I also don't know, actually.
This is what you get when you establish a gimmick where you have to say something new every time.
Yeah.
It's just like, alright, well,
sometimes you just...
I've done this like 300 times.
You have a lot of
I don't know
shows.
what
At
I'm
least
making
I have
of.
like a whole week to come up with something new to say at the start. But yeah, no. Yeah. It's Mechanista. I'm Dylan. That's 6. And, robots.
So Dylan, since the last time we spoke, I think, unless I'm just misremembering my timeline here, SD Gundam G-Gen Eternal came out on phones.
Yes, it did. A game that makes me very angry. Mostly because,
Yeah?
well, it's okay. And that's like the worst possible thing, because I don't want it to be... I don't want G-Gen to be a gacha game.
You know, that makes perfect sense. I was surprised that I was like, I expected this to be terrible, and instead it's like, well,
the thing is...
it's free to play in ways that suck, but...
Well, the problem
mostly
is,
works.
the stage design is actually pretty good, because they're like, well, it's a phone game, so we have to make all the stages small no matter how difficult they are. Which, has been the problem with a lot of G-Gen games, especially in the modern era, like with Genesis and Crossrays, is that the stages do run kind of long. While I think the games are fun, it is not fun necessarily, especially if you're not into rewatching animations, to play the same stage for 45 minutes. And so by being a mobile game, they're like, oh yeah, we have to do a bunch of micro stages that are like 5 minutes. And it turns out that's pretty fun. And my biggest annoyance is, yes, a lot of the new animations for the things that are completely new are pretty good looking. I was like, well, there's a lot that they're going to be reusing from Genesis and Crossrays. So maybe at least like the new animations wouldn't be all that great. But actually, I think they're pretty good. And that makes me sad because I'm like, damn... They made it an alright G-Gen. I still am really hoping they use all the assets that they get out of this to make a real one, but, whatever.
But that seems unlikely, also.
I mean, yeah. Especially if this does well, right? Like, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Frustrating. Though also, it has me wanting to play, because Jackson from Abnormal Mapping was playing it again, I kind of want to try out G-Gen Overworld again.
Which one is Overworld?
That's the final PSP game. It's also the last one to have crossover story stuff happen. And it has an English translation. It's the one where, like, the first stage, for instance, is you doing 0079, so it's just Amuro in the Gundam versus 3 Zakus, and then, of course, you could deploy your 2 squads, your 2 free squads. If you have Amuro kill, I think it's Denim, with a beam saber slash... within, like, a certain amount of... Or, if you have Amuro kill Denim with the beam saber slash, it'll do a stage break, in which, I believe first it's the seed units that appear, or maybe it's the Vegan units, I can't remember the exact thing. Every stage has prerequisites where you can do a quote-unquote break, which will add more units from a different universe, like their plot falling into whatever's happening. And while it starts off small, it starts becoming more and more major later until you start having stages where it's like, you are doing, like, the stuff with Libra from Gundam Wing, and then the else appear, and then the else take over Libra, and then make their own copy of it that you have to destroy.
Huh.
Like a giant else Libra, yeah. And usually if you do the prerequisites within, like, a certain time frame, or, like, in a special way, you will also... You might remember this, because it was in Crossrays and Genesis. You can make secret units appear, and the secret units are usually led by a leader that if you destroy it, you can capture the other units.
Yeah.
So that's also from... that was also an Overworld. I think it started in Original Wars, because what the release order was, you had G-Gen Spirits for the PS2, which was only UC, and it was only straightforward story stuff. Then you had G-Gen Wars, and I didn't play Wars. I think Wars didn't do any crossover stuff quite yet, but it added a bunch of AUs to it, like 00 notably is like the main one that they were excited over at the time. And then, of course, they added Seed and, like the 90s AUs to it. Then you had World for the PSP, which added some more stuff, and then Overworld, which was the final of the PSP games, which added the most stuff. It goes through technically all of season 1, or like part 1 of Age. And then has up to episode 4 of Unicorn, because those were what were out when the game came out, So
Sure.
And the Age 2 is like a secret unit in Overworld that you can get, since the design and whatnot was known when they were making it. Ironically, kind of like the G-Quux is in the game, where it's like, okay, this doesn't necessarily have all the moves, and it doesn't have all the forms, and I don't think Alsamu has like a lot of his a lot of different voice acting in the game, but it is the latest thing, so we're throwing it in,
Sure.
Because, yeah.
But unlike that, with Eternal, they can just update it later.
Yeah. Also, the G-Quux they give you is actually really strong, even though it only has one weapon.
Yeah.
It only has Hawk, but it hurts. Also has a pretty cool animation.
And also has a pretty cool animation, and they do the thing that they, like... I'm not the most G-Gen person, I don't know if this is, like classic, but it seems like with units that only have a melee attack, they give them better range than normal melee people.
Like a lot of
nice.
melee focused suits. I think like the Gyan Kai, because it has like this super huge large beam saber that it does. It also has like a 2 range melee, I believe, in older G-Gens. So yeah, so it's not as defenseless as you would expect for something that only has a melee weapon.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, G-Gen Eternal also has the really funny thing to me, which kind of comes up in some other G-Gen games, where counter strategies are actually sometimes better than being the on the offensive, where you let the enemies come to you and hit you first, and then you follow up. Well, okay, so think of it this way, right? If the enemy is a strong enemy that will kill you in 2 hits, but you can also kill them in 2 hits, if you attack them, right? So you attack,
Sure.
then they counter, and now you're at half health, they're at half health. And then now it's their turn, so they attack you, and then you die before you counter. Whereas, if you will let them attack you first, it goes the other way, right?
Right.
And I've noticed some
Makes
of the
sense.
really difficult stages, like the Eternal Roads in G-Gen Eternal, I've learned are actually easier if I do counter strategies, because you're playing speed tag basically. Anyway, well, I guess we did get a long intro out of that because G-Gen Eternal, but
Yeah.
where are we gonna roll?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. We'll do a normal chart today. I don't know. I'm enjoying so far the selection of units. I like also the idea of, I wish there was like a hard mode that forced you this to be your only squad, but where it's like, hey, you've got to deploy units that theoretically could be here.
Well, don't worry. That's what
think
the
it's
Eternal Roads are. They don't let you deploy things that aren't from the series, and they're
nice.
fucking.
I don't know.
They are.
I don't know how to access that, but
Eternal Road, you unlock it at player rank 9, I think, or something, and they're
okay.
missions that, let me pull them up because I do have it on my phone right now. Right now there are 10 normal ones, 7 hard mode ones, which you unlock after beating the normal version of some of them. Things that are incomplete, like G Gundam and Gundam X, don't have hard mode ones right now, because, like, the stages for those are clearly, like, not complete. Like, it's only, like, part of the series right now. But yeah, those only let you deploy a squad from the thing. See, I'm of the opposite opinion, but that's because, like, in G-Gen games, I always, I like using my units, and I don't want the game to force me into having to invest my fucking limited gacha resources into goddamn G-Gundam units to beat the G-Gen Eternal stage for it, because I'm not interested in those units. It's fine, though.
Sure, that's fair. I mean, like, you can get units via not the gacha, but I don't know how viable they are in higher
these are hard missions. So you can beat them without the gacha units. You don't need like the UR units to beat these. But you need to invest in them if you're doing that, right? Like, you need to invest a lot of levels, and a lot of pilots matter more than you would think as well. And yeah, it's fine though. Like I said, and to be fair, given that their difficulty is static, it's going to be one of those things where these are hard right now because the game just came out, and then the power creep will probably make them easier over time. So for people who play later, or if you just can't beat them right now, don't worry, there will be power creep that will eventually make them probably easy,
Sure.
Just the nature of gacha games. Anyway. Alright.
Alright. Let's roll some dice.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, just,
Okay.
we have our pick. You know how this works. First picture is gonna be wildly unhelpful. There you go.
Is this an AU enact?
No.
I just see a skinny legs.
Wrong color, I think, but good guess.
I just saw a skinny leg, and it was like greenish, I think, right? Is it greenish? I can't really tell what color that is. It's dark.
Yeah, it's dark. It kind of depends on the lighting, and I don't know what the lighting is supposed to be.
Okay. Ooh, is this thinking about things with skinny legs, is this the Defurse from Gundam Age?
You're ridiculous.
What? Also, they've been watching Gundam Age, and I was like, okay, what else has a really goofy, skinny set of legs? I was like, well, GGP's watching it, I could guess the Defurse. That's really funny that I got it, though. This guy's funny. The Big Zam! Kind of.
Yeah. The medium.
Honestly,
Zam.
I'm more surprised I remembered its name. I don't remember there's another one that shows up later, during part 2, but I'm like, what was that one called? Oh, yeah, the Reganner. Anyway. Actually, it might not even be in part 2. It might be in part 3. I can't remember.
It's third gen, it's the
Okay,
Reganner. Yeah. We'll talk about it shortly.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the Defurse, it is, the xvm-gz, or gz, Defurse. This is a vegan machine, designed for use under gravity, which is really dumb. So it's like, oh, we want to use this to take over the Earth. And so we gave it ridiculous legs for gravity use. And I'm like, wait a minute. Anyway, but yeah, no, it's kind of like, a halfway between a mobile armor and a mobile suit. It is, if you look at it from the top, it almost looks like a vegan wearing a set of giant legs and whatnot, like a vegan suit.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it was apparently actually abandoned partway through development because it didn't work well in space. However, Gira Zoi, the pilot of it, that we see in the show, who pilots that at the end of part 1, managed to finish one of the units, and he seemingly had no problem piloting it. So, and yeah, so to describe this unit, the head, you have a kind of a standard Vegan head. It has more of a military kind of helmet going on rather than like a weird dragon head. But it does have 2 horns on the top of it. But like if you look at like the roundness on top and like the way it has this like piece that goes around the back of the head, it just looks a bit more like, you know, kind of your standard like old military helmet to me. Besides the horns, of course. The face, you've got the usual Vegan screen face thing going on with it, where it's got like the black plates that have a little bit of gaps between them, and you know, when the camera's activated, they glow. But yeah, you're just kind of the usual design points that you're going to have on a Vegan suit there. Then just to show a close-up of the head, by the way, like separated from the unit. Here's the head on its own. You can see what I mean by like, yeah, military-style kind of helmet. 2 little antenna / horns, and then there's the little gap for the screen face there. Or not screen, but little line face, I guess. And I don't know what else to call it. I'll also put the rear picture here. Yeah. Below the face and the neck, you've got a yellow plate in the middle of the smaller chest that this unit has. This protects around the chest up there. You can also see a bit of green armor below it. However, much of this chest is obscured by the much larger abdomen. You know, normally I cover the waist separately, but this is all kind of one piece, so you've got a large set of armor going down around the lower body of the suit, again going all the way down to the waist, with a large opening on the front of it. The armor is mostly green on there. The inside the opening, it's a yellow color, and then you have a bunch of the little green gem like beam emitters inside of the chest there. They are located around. They are located radially. You have 4 big ones in the cardinal directions. 4 smaller ones in the diagonal, and then like a medium-sized gem in the very middle of them. Yeah, moving on, the arms, you've got kind of just normal shoulder pauldron kind of armor. It ends with like a bit of a point, but just protects around the front and back. Just has panel lining, very simple shoulder parts there. The arms are also pretty basic. You've got your standard, more organic-looking Vegan bicep thing going on. The arms are all black, I should mention, by the way. Visible joint. The way the joint is visible, though, it always looks like the joint is covered, so it looks almost like bug-like with the way it looks, which is always neat with the Vegan designs. Forearm, though, very simple, just kind of an organic-looking forearm again. Again, all gray / black. The hands, they're standard Vegan hands, and I believe they still have... Yeah, they have the Vulcans and beam sabers in them, so they have, like, the little emitter at the inside of the palms for doing that. Moving on to the legs, the thing that made me realize what this thing was. This guy's got goofy long legs. These are, like... I was gonna use Master Grade as an example, but no, this is like if you mix, like, a perfect grade and a normal size kit, with how these legs are. These are just huge legs, really big thighs, organic in shape, you know, rounded green armor. Main weird little detail is on the inside, a lot of the Vegan suits have this. You have, like, the visible, like, joint, like, inner frame structure there in, gray that is visible where the leg is connecting into the waist there. And then you also have these weird little, like, spikes that just kind of, like, are very shallow and pop out of the outer part of the thighs there. Otherwise, not a lot of detail overall on these legs. Visible joint on the back of the leg. You do get, like, a series of, like, 2 pieces of knee armor, basically. Like, the thigh already goes down decently far over the joint, but then you have, like, these 2 extra plates where the knee is, that are just kind of hanging down from there in front of the joint. Then for the lower legs, really long, skinny lower legs, Around the sides of the calves there, you do have some panel lining that separates out, like, like where on your normal leg there's, like, more muscle. And then, again, very organic in shape, just very skinny also. The back of the legs also have, on the back of the thighs, like the standard, like, thrusters, where it's a bunch of these little bars, basically these little, like, this grid of sorts, or not even a grid, it's like, the vertical slats.
Yeah, sort of heat sink looking array.
Yeah. And then around the feet, you have some ankle armor around the ankles. Very minimal, though. It's not big like your normal Gundam ones, just very small there. And then the feet, you've got a little black piece on top of the foot, some yellow around, like, the top as well, around that gray piece, and then the rest of the feet are green. Kind of just look like shoes, very standard. They do have, like, an extra little bit of armor popped up on the back of the heel going around the back. But yeah, pretty standard for the feet. I guess what I could call a backpack on this, you have basically a piece that looks like the other half of the large abdomen. You've got this large rounded back piece. It's got a little horn in the middle of it. It's very round. It has like a pair of Vegan wings on the top of it, which is kind of weird. Like, kind of things I associate with some of the later suits, things like the Xamdrag and whatnot. Like these little foldy looking wings. And these are in
way it's
yellow. Mm-hmm.
The way it's positioned is like this entire torso is a head. Here's the mouth, here's the ears, and here's the V crest.
Oh, I didn't even think of it that way, but yeah, no, I see it, yeah. And yeah, then you've got these, the parts that you mentioned looking like ears are like more of those thrusters around the sides of the back here. And then at the very bottom of this back piece, you've got this little bit of like armor that skirts off of around the back, and then a lot of these vertical, slats for doing more thrust. These are also behind like the abdomen area too. You can actually see them like in between. And then also this has a beam cannon that is, I assume, connected to the tail of like the standard unit that's in there, and then it just kind of hangs down and between the legs, which is a little goofy. But I believe
that would make sense.
But it is, it's like, it looks like it's connected into the tail of the more normal vegan suit torso in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a Big Zam. Like, very clearly kind of a Big Zam reference with the shape of the body, the fact it's got the giant beam cannon in it, etc. So yeah, on the abdomen you have the Defurse cannon, which is the huge one. It has the beam Vulcans in the hands. It can generate beam sabers from the hands as well, if necessary. And then the tail beam cannon as well, which is like most of the tail beam cannons, pretty strong. Because they tend to use the tail beam cannon kind of as their main beam rifle, as it were. And yeah, then it also has electromagnetic armor, which allows it to block beam weapons. Again, very... I mean, the thing is, there are other suits that have this. The Bakuto uses the EM armor, so does the Dorado. But, yeah. Still, of course, this also has it because, it's a Big Zam. Believe on this one it can block it even blocks like some of the Dodds rifle shots. Yeah, you can even see like in this screenshot it, clearly the spinny Dodds beams that are doing the spin that are being blocked by it there. And you can see the beam saber emitted out of the hand. And yeah, the Defurse, it's a goofy, like, this is the part 1 final boss, is what it's meant to be. And it's very goofy.
I think, most, part 1 final bosses in Gundam, I don't think are great. This one's fun and silly enough. I think to me it kind of has, like, in that sense, it feels a little, like, not aesthetically, but vibely, like the Alvaron, right? This sort of dumb thing at the end.
Yeah.
I think the Gray's Ein might be one of the few times where I'm like, this machine is genuinely sick.
Yeah. I mean, this one's not helped by just also looking really goofy. Like in a way that's a charm. In a way that's a charm point, but you're never gonna look at this machine and go, "Oh, this is really cool." I think, you know.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't one that I think is. I wouldn't want to buy a kit of this, but I'm glad it exists.
Yeah. It is funny seeing, like, in animation, them switching the size. Like, look at how big the abdomen and whatnot are relative to the mobile suit in this picture versus, like, in the art. It's very funny to me. But, yeah. And then, yeah, so this has two variants. Both are in part 3 of the show, so, that's kind of the spoiler alert there.
Yeah. One of them's a little more straightforward to talk about, so we'll do it first.
So the first one is the one I mentioned earlier, the ovm-lce Reganner. Reganner? I don't know. That's Reganner. So, yeah. And it is, basically just the same suit. However, it is a different color. It is a brighter kind of green color. And the other main additions are the, oh god, that rear shot's really tiny on the wiki.
Yeah.
You see if MHQ might only have a line art version, but it'll probably be better quality, so let me grab that. Yeah, here we are.
Oh, you've got it? Okay, great. Get rid of this then.
It's slightly better quality than the other one. I'm thinking, honestly, looking at like the way this is printed, there might not be a lot of books with the rear of this machine, because you can see like
really,
yeah,
not a lot of reference material on a nothing unit from season 3 of Age.
Anyway,
I guess anything's possible.
Anyway, so yeah, the primary changes besides the color are the wings on the large unit there, like that were originally present, are now replaced with guns that are very similar to like the Kronos, the cannons on the Kronos. I believe, yeah, very similar in design. They don't have the little heatsink looking parts on the bottom, and they're a little longer, but you can see it's got the same little, like heatsink looking parts on the top.
Sure.
Same overall shape. And plus, like the Kronos, they're on the wings. And then the other major addition are these two, like, large, what appear to be, like, big thruster pods, almost, that are just, attached to the sides of the back there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just an attempt to address the maneuverability issues.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not really used all that much. It mentions, it is, like, it can be used for fortress defense, which is to say it's essentially a giant turret. And it's got the additional cannon, so it has more range than the standard one in that regard. So yeah, not really all that major of a deal. I like the colors. I think it's a fun little unit, but yeah.
I like its thruster pack too. I think that's cool.
Yeah, no, it is more. I think the silhouette's more interesting in general, just by adding these and then adding the cannons. Still not like something I'm like super into. Now, then we have the freak that we're going to talk about.
Well, hold up a sec. Yeah? Hold up a sec.
Okay.
It does mention as variants the Reganner F and the Nobad Reganner. I assume these are something from games?
These are probably recolors. Let me look. I have a book that has a lot of the video game information. The game has a lot of recolors that are just like palette swap ones. Like, the game does have some original units that are definitely like, their own thing. But I am thinking in this case, just in this one instance, these are some of the ones that are just recolors. I have got my book open real quick, so I'm taking a look real fast. Where's the game section? There we are. Okay, yeah. So it's not showing them in the Vegan suits for the game section, so yeah, they don't have any design differences, which means I am confident in saying they are just recolors.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm going to, you know what? Let me attempt something real quick. I'm gonna try to, using the power of Google and the Japanese text, I'm gonna try to see if I could find like someone posting a screenshot of the colors. Okay, yeah, no one's even posted screenshots of these in the game. Damn.
Not a well-loved one.
Yeah, no.
This,
Again, just, I presume it would be probably, like... The problem is, if I'm remembering right, the game itself doesn't have its own, like, in-game library. So you can't even, like... I couldn't even look at units. I would have to, like, go into a stage, that has them, which... good luck for me finding one of those.
Sure.
Is the Gundam Age website still up? I fucking doubt it. Let's see. Is it just gonna redirect me to the Bandai Namco Enterprises? Yeah, because they had some of the recolors up on the website, but even that's not here either. Well, unfortunate, but whatever. No biggie. My guess is that they would be purple and red, because I think a lot of the recolor variants are purple and red. Like, for, like, green suits in that game. Alright,
sure.
Time to talk about the weirdo now. So, the weirdo from it's part 3, and I guess more, in a way, part 4, right? Because, technically the third part of the show is considered 2 separate parts, even though it's the same protagonist. Sure. Anyway, the Xamdrag. I'm going to use the art from MAHQ because it's bigger than the art on the wiki. So, just want to mention that real quick. So there's the front, and then there's the back. The Xamdrag is fun, but it's a weird one. This one is... It looks like a gorilla, is the way I would describe it, right? Like, its proportions. It's just... Yeah. It's very chunky. It's very big. It's what if you built, like, it's really weird, right? Because if you stare at it long enough, you start to realize this chest section and whatnot is like the one on the Defurse, but it's like if you built, like, a normal-sized mobile suit around it, but then gave up at the legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... This is the Xamdrag. This is used by... Oh, what the fuck's his name? Zanold Behart, who is a guy who sucks in the second half of the show, who has the most insane hair ever, because it's one of those things where it's like, you look at the design of the character, and you can't actually tell if that's meant to be, like, facial hair or a mask. And then you realize, well, that hat, it looks like he's wearing is the same color, so is that hair too? There's a lot going...
I think it's all a hat, and it goes over his hair. I think the top part is, like, flexible material.
It's so weird looking, though. This is a very level 5 goofy-ass design.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, but, yeah, so, the Xamdrag is, a big, strong unit, that is created for heavy assault missions. The way it's designed is so that the feet can be used as hands, which I think is very goofy. The reason I mention that is because I'm gonna link, because I have the book open. You can see the feet there, the way that they can enclose as fingies and hands.
Mm-hmm.
Just throw that to the side. And so, yeah, to describe this design, the head, this is a little awkward because the head is huge and also the tail is, like, in the head, which is weird. So, for the face, you've got a multi-sectioned, like, Vegan-style face, but instead of having the line visor, it has just 2 eyes that are very widely set apart. It's got like a mask inside of there, almost Gundam-like mask. And then the top of the head, you've got this just huge plate going all the way around from the front to the back. It's got some vents on the top of it. two huge, like, V-fin-like antenna. And then once you hit the back of it, again, more just panel lining and little bits of armor. And then you have the tail coming out almost like a big ponytail. Now, it hangs low enough that it is meant to more evoke, the standard Vegan tail, but it when you see it from behind, it's like, oh, that's just like a large ponytail. And the tail section there is huge and made of many segments, much larger than prior Vegan tails, and, it's like a segmented, like, almost like a large whip. It looks really cool. It's like it's kind of like the one on, like, the Giraga, but very thick, or on the Zetalis. The torso is, so, like I said, it's got kind of the Defurse torso going on in shape for, like, the main abdomen and body there. It's got two pectoral sections that have little vents built into them that are in a lighter blue that you can see sticking out of the side. It's got, like, the large belly section with the big cannon in the middle. The cannon is slightly different in design here. You've got a larger gem in the middle, one on the top and bottom, and then 4 smaller ones around that gem, 2 on each side of it. It also has some, like, little intakes and vents built into the, like, Defurse looking section of the armor around the cannon there. The shoulders are huge, and you've got, like, these big pointy, they're pretty, like, simple in their overall design, just panel lines going on, but, they are pointy at the end. The biceps are bulkier than your standard Vegan biceps, and you've got, like, almost like a spike of armor coming out of the bicep there. Really large joints. The forearms, you've got another, like, set of spikes sticking on the outside of them, as well as having a very pointy elbow armor piece popped up over the back of the joint. You get these forearm guards that are in a lighter purple color. Well, still, it's weird because this thing has a lot of colors, actually, like, the more you look at it here, like, the way it's scanned. Like, this purple is not the same as this purple. It's like, it also doesn't look quite as saturated as the one in the body either. It's weird. This thing has a lot of purples.
I think these twos are the same. It's just the colors around it making it look a little different.
Okay.
I think they're the same purple.
Okay. But yeah, big, purple, wrist guards.
There's definitely this purple, this purple, this purple, this, like, lavender, and this purple.
Yeah, that's almost verging on, like, a lilac-y pink color for the fingers.
Yeah.
A lot of colors on this guy. So yeah, large wrist guards, they are pointing on the front and back around, like, where the palm of the hand is, and then, the reverse side of that. And then you've got black hands with big lilac-colored fingers. The fingers seem to have, like, almost like knuckle dusters on them. It's got, like, the sections of armor, so this looks very spiky when punching. Then, moving on to, there's not really a waist on this guy, again, doing the Defurse thing, where it's just kind of, the abdomen is all one piece there. But you've got these very tiny, like, legs that are basically just thighs, almost. Like, if you look at them from behind, you can actually see there is, like, an upper and lower leg section in there, and this is just, like, big armor that wraps around most of it, but it's weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, the armor there is mostly just pointy, and it covers most of the front up. And when you see it from behind, you can see the joint. You can see, like, where the upper leg is plugged in, and then a little bit of the lower leg plugged into these feet. You do have ankle guards around the feet that have these little wings that are shooting back at a point on either side of them. And then the feet are 3 toes on the front and 2 toes on the back operating as heels. There's not really much of a backpack, but just on the rear of this unit, just because I hadn't brought up. For thrust, on the rear of, like, the Defurse torso, you've got the same vertical slats, just like on the original, and you can see that there are some more of those on the very bottom of the unit. However, because the tail is moved up to the head, this doesn't have, like, a tail cannon down there. Which also, it wouldn't really work having one, because if it needs to stand and the legs are this short, it wouldn't actually, like, have room to maneuver. It'd be awkward. And to put the tail where the tail normally is on the Defurse torso. And yeah, so like I said, this thing is basically designed to look like a gorilla. So it has the Vulcan beams in the hands, as well as the feet, and then also so the way I'm reading it is that the hands don't have like the little like fingers at the end, like the it doesn't have like the beam fingers at the end of them, like the feet do. These are just like, you know, the palms generate, I believe.
I'm pretty sure that's not true.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure they do have them.
Do they have them? Okay, I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of it in the show, because obviously in the show we haven't gotten that far.
I have other material that shows it having them.
Okay. Okay, that works.
Like various card game art. And stuff
the video game art also shows it, actually. Here. This is the art from the video game website. And you can see it.
Gotcha. I didn't know what that was from.
Yeah, this is from the video game, so you can see that, yeah. So it actually does. So each finger itself is like a beam emitter. And then, same with, like, each of the toes. And then each of those can...
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the primate thing they're doing, is trying to make its hands and feet very similar.
Yeah. And I guess, actually, there's also this ridiculous card from, I don't know which of the many card games that exist this is from, but, you can see it, all the beam things facing forward, so yeah.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
This guy's awesome.
Yeah. Honestly, this guy's kind of cool. I'm sad that it never got a model. But yeah.
Yeah, that'd have been a fun model to build, but a bit weird.
That's the main thing, right? Is it just would have been so weird. So yeah. Then its other weapons, it mentions the Xamdrag tail, which is to say this large ponytail-like thing. It can be used as a striking weapon, you know.
Uh-huh.
And then the Xamdrag cannon in the chest, it can fire... Each of these can fire a beam individually, or it can fire, like a concentrated large beam, and presumably it's more powerful than, you know, the ones prior. So, yeah, that's the Xamdrag. It's a weirdo.
Yeah?
It's neat, though.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, and I guess...
Easily my favorite.
Technically speaking, this has a variant?
Yeah, that has the going beyond good and evil through diversity of armament.
The what?
Someone hasn't done their reading, I see.
No, I haven't.
This has a variant from Gundam Build Divers,
Yes.
and it is introduced as an art piece, and the title of the art piece is given as Going Beyond Good and Evil Through Diversity of Armament.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, let's pull that one up. It is a Xamdrag, but it's got a halo behind it that has weapons attached into the halo. The weapons are... Ooh, so those missile pods look very similar to the F-Rate ones. They're not exactly, though, because the F-Rate ones have one additional pod there, so I don't know what the exact ones these are. This right here, though, that's very like the Thunderbolt Gundam, full armor Gundam missile pod. You know, if you've played Gundam Breaker, you will recognize missile pod that looks like this with the 6 doors that you use in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it does
also it
use,
looks like these are the bits from these look like the Age of Effects' like surfboard bits, but painted gold.
Oh, they look like the
or the Providence.
Yeah, I was gonna say Providence. They look very dragoonish to me.
Yeah. Okay.
However, we don't see them do that. You know what they do?
What?
You know, I don't know. I don't know, because by the time this machine has another trick to it, which is kind of stupid, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't remember the episode. I can call up the episode to mind, but I don't remember the specifics enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
To remember if it uses those. It does fire missiles.
I didn't mention this earlier, and it's not a detail I even realized looking at the art. It actually does have the standard Vegan visor face. It's just flanked by the 2 eyes. But that is like the visor face there. So, interesting. And yeah, so in the show, I like I said, I also don't remember it. However, in the show, it uses a break decal, which means it changes forms. And it changes into, honestly, kind of a neat-looking form. It's weird. I actually wish we got art of these forms, because as far as I'm aware, I'm sure that there is, like, sete for these, but I don't have any divers books, so I don't know if that's ever been shown off. It kind of turns into, like, a weird mix of, like, vegan elements, and almost like a Legolas-style, machine when it uses the brake decal.
Mm-hmm.
The backpack, looks like it has darkened and turned into chotels, like, for him to wield, basically. The armor is broken away all over the body, though. The chest looks more like a face. Very evil-looking Gundam head. And, like, again, like, the knees and whatnot, like, very Legolas-y in design. I actually think this is a pretty cool machine, but the brake decal guys don't, as far as I know, they don't have their art, anywhere, which is unfortunate, because, some of the forms are really neat. They're very weird. They wouldn't make models of them, for a lot of them, because they tend to be, like, very, not even abstract, I'm trying to think of how I would put it, like, they're very overwrought, but, yeah.
I have now watched the fight. It doesn't use those little, like, dragoon-looking bits for anything.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that makes sense, then. I'm actually checking, so there is a book, called the Gundam Build Series 10th Anniversary Special Book, which does have, Build Diver, all of the shows in it. And I'm going to check real quick. No, it doesn't. Of course it fucking doesn't. This is like a little tiny art book of thanks, and it has like a little preview for Metaverse. God damn it. Rude. I was really hoping for some artwork of it. I'm checking the other build book I have, but if not, then that's basically the end of the episode, so that's why I'm like, maybe I could just drag one more thing out real quick. Just to look at, like, or just to pull up some art for the video people or something, but, okay, so here's the sete for Build Divers. Alright. When I go to the sete for Build Divers now, there is some interesting stuff in here I haven't seen anywhere else. However, I am not seeing anything for the brake decal forms, unfortunately. Nope. Yep, there's, like, no sete for them. Other than for the raid boss, which is really funny at the end. But not, like, for any of the machines that use the brake decals, annoyingly. Unfortunate, but that's about what I figured. Well, in that case, then yeah, that's an episode. Not very many machines related to this one, so...
No.
Yeah. 6. Where can people find you and your work online?
You can find me on Blue Sky. I'm 6 Detmar there, SIXDETTMAR. And you can find my work at scanlinemedia.com or patreon.com/scanlinemedia, and there's also the Scanline Media Discord if you want to talk to us.
Yeah.
What about you, Dylan?
Find me on Blue Sky at lowpolyrobot. That's about it. And you'll see me on, like, the Discord if you go there, so, yeah. And that's it for me. Well, we have a close.
Yeah. I have, this episode of Build Divers open, but you might know this because you've seen Build Divers. The dialogue sucks, and I don't want to say these.
I don't. Yeah, no. I am not a big Build Divers fan. It is the first Gundam series that I have watched actively and then didn't finish my first time through because I got bored of it. That doesn't happen to me. Usually, like, even with shows I don't like, because they were finished, I would still watch through them all. But I got so bored of Build Divers, like, at a certain point that I was like, you know what? I'm done. Fuck it. I'll wait until, like, later to finish watching it at some point, but I just don't care. And I feel bad about that, but...
What can you do?
Yeah. Sometimes a show feels like it's two separate shows sewn together, and neither of them were coherent.
Yeah, that's the truth. Peace out.
Peace.